Good evening. This evening we're going to be discussing the article, Middle School Students Need More Opportunities to Read Across the Curriculum, written by Joseph Sandelin. So normally we would start with a warm-up, asking us to think about why independent reading might be important for content areas. But for the sake of time, we'll move forward. All right, so what is independent reading? Independent reading involves students reading individually both in the classroom and in other environments, such as the library or at home. Now, studies show, so scholars have done extensive research on how independent reading helps grow literacy skills. Oftentimes, however, the problem is that schools and really educators as a whole might not have the time to engage students in independent reading. They have to follow certain protocols, prepare for standardized tests. So sometimes independent reading might fall on the back burner. However, that doesn't take away from the fact that independent reading helps to grow those literacy skills. Therefore, it should be educators' mission to make independent reading a top priority. So the article gives us some suggestions that may help schools to implement independent reading programs. They might try the block schedule, which might allow everybody in the school to set aside at least 30 to 45 minutes to read independently. Now, content area teachers, the article suggests, might set aside a day for reading. So on Monday through Thursday, for instance, a teacher might teach concepts using small groups or other strategies, and then on Friday, allow students to explore these concepts further through independent reading or research. The teacher mentioned in the article had an in-class library that dealt with World War II. Throughout the week, she taught the World War II material, and then the students did more research through independent reading. Educators also want to think about the fact that literacy is broad, it's expansive, so we have things like visual literacy, or financial literacy, or political literacy, and all these literacies are important for our students to learn. Therefore, we want to vary the text and purposes for reading. So the article suggests that we make sure we include poetry, which may help our struggling readers or ELL students. Charts and illustrations, artwork that students have to interpret and seek out the themes. The purposes for reading. So of course we know comprehension is one of the reasons that we might read, but also practical application, vocabulary expansion, and student interest. So all of these things, especially student interest and practical application, have a place in independent reading. So we want to keep that in mind as teachers. We also want to make sure we include texts that students can relate to, and not just one group of students. So we want to have multicultural and diverse texts. Now, the article suggests that teachers dramatize the reading. So for an ELA class, we might think about a dramatic reading of a novel or a play. For a social studies class, a dramatic reading of a monologue or autobiography. For a math and science class, the math or science teacher can develop a script where the students engage in dialogue about the material, making the reading come alive. Teachers should present reading as something that's exciting, so not dull or boring. We're not always sitting down at the desk reading from the book. Instead, sometimes we're acting out what's on the page. All right, this would be my activity. I would have divided everyone into groups based on the content area. And then we have here The Dutchman by Amiri Baraka. So in your groups, you would have chosen which characters you want to be. So we have the character of Clay, and then who's the protagonist, and then we have the antagonist, Lula, and then someone could be the narrator. and we would read scene 1. And then we would think about this question: how did the performance of the text help our comprehension or our interest?